Stephen and Larry, and we're talking Swish.
Hello everyone, we're back here with Talking Swish. Larry Fields here alongside my podcast brother Stephen Dykman. Stephen, how are we doing today?
Pretty good, man. For those listening, this is actually take two for us. We just started this a minute ago and realized that it was not recording, so here we are. Pretty fitting way to start the our comeback episode here. It's kind of a funny little way to start it, but
yeah, technical difficulties happen to the best of us.
They do.
But no, we are back. It's been quite some time since November, if my memory serves me correctly. Our last episode was with Nick, our teammate, when we were talking Pokemon.
Yep.
It was very entertaining episode. Don't make anybody think that just because talk Pokemon, that must have been the death of Talking Swish. Not the case. We had some technical difficulties. Holidays came up. We had a lot going on, so we had to take a little hiatus.
Yep.
Get all of our eggs back in the basket. We got a new setup down here to do all our recordings, including our YouTube channel, which we'll be getting to in just momentarily.
Yep.
But no, we got some exciting stuff coming up. We're actually turning gears. We're reamping the show. We're going to start doing that at least every other week. If not every week, we're going to do interview segments with various Magic personalities, from store owners to players to judges. And we're going to branch outside of Magic with some streamers from different video games such as Fortnite, Call of Duty, touch some other cards like Hearthstone. Yep. What was that?
RuneScape?
No, not RuneScape. It's like Runeterra or something like that.
Oh, Runeterra.
Yeah.
Legends of Runeterra
Yeah,
or
Legends
something?
of Runeterra.
Yeah. I don't know much about that.
Oh, I don't know anything.
Okay.
But I know a lot of people play that game.
Okay.
There's another card game people play as well, but I don't know it offhand. But, and it'd be fitting to maybe talk to some Yu-Gi-Oh! Personalities, since we have trap cards in Magic now.
Yeah.
You gotta love Magic the Gathering design team. However, Fortel, Sweet Mechanic, we'll be getting into that because we're going to be running a nice little segment here today on the draft format.
Yep.
But we'll get to that when that time comes. But yeah, going forward, we're going to have some very interesting episodes. We're also going to do some episodes where we're going to be doing a blast in the past and revisiting older formats, like the standard Avs and Aggro format, where we might do Esper Tokens format. We might even dig deeper. We'll go talk about how Kaldeihm, people complain about standard now. Let's take them back down memory street. Did you play there in Kaldeihm?
So that was basically when I started playing Magic, actually. I wasn't playing competitively yet, but everyone at my local F&M was actually playing Kaldeihm. So, so that was pretty brutal.
Oh, as a new player?
Playing, random nonsense deck, which in my case was the first few weeks I played a totally garbage deck that was just a mere tribal nonsense deck that it did well one week and then did really badly the next 2 weeks because it was not good.
Yeah.
And then I had someone at the shop helped me build there was an infinite life combo in that format, and Kaldeihm couldn't beat that, fortunately, if you assembled it. So I had a deck
pieces?
that was three pieces. You needed either Soul's Attendant or Suture Priest in play, and then you needed to play a I'm trying to think of how it worked. I forget the order in which it worked. It was really weird, but it involved Leonin Relic Warder and Phyrexian Metamorph. I can't remember if you metamorphed copying Relic Warder and targeted itself, and then it just infinitely... I think that's how it works. You have a Relic Warder in play, and then you play Metamorph copying Relic Warder, and then you target itself. So then it continually loops because it keeps leaving play, and then it keeps re-entering play.
And what's the Sarah do?
Gains a life every time a creature enters.
Oh, okay.
And Suture Priest was one-sided. But
and it's an ability that you can stop at any point because you can just enters, makes a copy. Or
it was basically Splinter Twin, but you didn't
a three-piece combo.
You didn't kill them, and you just gained
You gain so much life.
Arbitrary amount of life. Yeah.
They get to the point where they can't really come back in. We'll definitely have to revisit those kind of formats because It'll be fun just to go back. We'll probably be digging back into old modern formats, and Splinter Twin will most likely be. We'll talk about why it got banned.
Yep.
We'll talk about why Breeding Pool got Breeding Pool got banned, guys. I think people want Breeding Pool banned because it says island. Birthing Pod is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Revisit some of those things because people love to reminisce about the former formats. I know I do it all the time because Avzan Agro treated me so well. Not the one when Theros was legal, but right after Theros rotated, we still had con fetches and stuff.
Yep.
So I'm very excited to be able to revisit those formats. And then we're going to be messing with our YouTube page. We're going to start putting up 1 to 2 videos. 2 is probably the number, along with the podcast every week, where we're going to do some different things. We're going to do 1 constructed and 1 limited every week. Along with the podcast, so we'll be having 3 videos loaded to YouTube weekly, if not more, because I do some on my own as well.
Nice.
Or I do them with our teammates, like me and Nate. One of our teammates did a limited video yesterday.
Nice.
It was quite fun. I forget how many wins we got off the thing.
Was that the red-black deck?
No, that was the green.
Okay.
Green-white. Yeah, the green-white deck.
Was that the one you guys did before I came down? Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. It was fun. We had we had 1 variance issue, and then we just got not outvalued, but outbombed.
Yeah.
We had some really good cards, and our opponent said, we have one
better
there.
Cards.
There's a card that it's kind of a serpent in a way that we're going to be talking about.
Yeah.
That you probably are not going to beat in your life.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that point.
Yep.
But the YouTube is going to be getting up, and we're going to be promoting it heavily going forward. Overall, that's going to be pretty exciting. I know I'm excited to do some more videos, especially after a long hiatus, as we mentioned. And then Swish Gaming overall, us as a team, we actually got to get together for the first time, and we did it safely, of course.
Yep.
We got together and we drafted. We did some cube drafting. For those that don't know what cube drafting is, it's where you take an assortment of cards throughout Magic history, whether there's different forms of cube. Like, for example, what did we do? We did uncommon and common cube, right?
Yep, that was the first cube. One. And then the second one was the 15 card deck.
Yeah, a 15 card deck cube. You want to build a deck of 15 cards. Decking don't lose you the game. However, you still get the life totals and all that. It takes a lot of strategic deck building and drafting with that.
Yeah, it was really different.
Yeah, it's something I would love to touch again because I love cube drafting. I think it's one of the best ways to play the game of Magic.
It's very fun, very, very fun.
And Dewey hosted, and who's also pretty much the captain of our team.
Yep.
The head honcho, the one that gets all the work done. He's awesome at what he does, so I definitely give shout outs to them for that. We'll definitely bring him back on the show. It's been the last time he was on the show. He's helping me co-host when you were out for that 1 week.
Yep, I remember that.
So it'd definitely be great to get him back on.
Yeah.
But overall, Swish Gaming, we're going to, as a team, start putting out more stuff. We're going to start getting some more articles written up. I'm going to talk to the rest of the team. We're going to try to get us to get some articles, maybe one a month at least. That's definitely something that me and you could handle. We did
easily.
One. If we each did one once a month, I think we could definitely knock that out the park.
Yeah.
But more of that information will be coming when it's available, of course. But right now, before we get into our main topic today, we're going to just talk about, today was officially 1 year ago I played in PT Phoenix.
Nice.
I seen the memory on Facebook today because me and Raymond Perez Jr. were both playing. He was on Lotus Field, which was probably the correct deck to play that weekend. Mm-hmm. And I was on Mono Black, which was correct if I played against Inverter. That deck ain't beating Lotus Field in open deck list in its life.
Yeah.
That matchup is tough in open deck list.
It's fair.
Because it's hard. Because open deck list is such an interesting way of doing tournaments, which I'm comfortable with it now because
we've done it a lot.
That was one of my first major tournaments, doing a whole tournament with open deck lists. I've done top 8s and stuff with open deck lists, but going in your first round and you have to look over and you just memorizing. I did learn a tactic though. I look at my opponent's deck list and I just look at it. I'm scanning it, and when you have to hand them back, I take the next few seconds. I just start writing notes down while it's fresh in your memory. Learned that from Ray, who told me he had a limited opponent did that to him before. Oh, it was actually Chapin. Patrick Chapin went and played against Ray. And Ray said that after he looked at it, he wrote every card he had down on a little piece of paper, just off memory. I was like, hence why that guy has been in prime position of winning major tournaments like PTs. He's won a PT, right?
I believe so.
I know he got DQ'd by one with
yeah.
some unfortunate circumstances.
And did he lose to Nassif in the one where he played Nassif and there was the whole Dragonstorm thing? I can't remember if he won that match or lost that match. All you have to do is listen to the Gathering album and you can figure it out pretty quickly. It's in one of his songs. I think he wins the match.
Whose songs?
Chapin has a goofy rap album called The Gathering, yeah.
Oh, that's
and it's really funny. But there's a song that relates to one of his PT top eights or semifinals.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, though, he's playing against Nassif, and he has an absurdly unlucky situation happen in one of the games where he's playing this like Dragonstorm deck, and he ignites memories, and I think the storm count was like 7. And for those that don't know, ignite memories, you reveal a card at random from your hand, and then they take damage equal to its converted mana cost. And Chapin had a card called Dragonstorm in his hand, which was like 7 mana or something, I think. And his opponent was at like, I can't remember, I think they were at literal 7 life or something, and Chapin did not reveal the Dragonstorm ever in any of the storm. And I think it was like land in a Dragonstorm, and he just like revealed the land every time or something stupid. It's something like that. Yeah, don't quote me on it if you're listening, but it relates to that, and if you're interested in it, you might want to check it out. It's pretty cool. But
no, that's quite humorous for sure.
Yep.
The variance of Magic, it'll get you.
Yep.
Even in the top levels such as PT finals.
Yeah.
Heck, when Andrew Elbogen
when he lost
when
LSV.
he beat
LSV. Yeah, LSV with the mulligans.
And people always say like LSV lost because of mulligan, but Andrew was hot that weekend. Let's be real, like so.
You have to be to win any tournament, let alone a pro tournament.
And it helps that Andrew is a beast at limited.
Yeah.
And you're never going to win a PT, well, at least in that format. I don't know how the formats are going to be going forward. But the formats where you had to play limited or draft, as they say, if you can't win draft, you ain't winning the PT.
Mm-hmm.
Just putting it out there.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
Yep.
But no, we're going to talk about some of our road stories throughout time because we've been to a lot of Magic tournaments. I know I've been to quite some. You've been to some. So, Steven, tell us about some like memorable stories you have of good, bad, ugly, whatever you want to.
Yeah. Well, I guess I've been playing a little bit of the blue-red flash deck in standard the last few days because I've got a buddy who was pretty high on that deck. Jaron White is his name. So give him a little shout out here. But he's been really high on that deck, and we've been playing it occasionally together. And we were talking about it the other day how blue red like a few seasons ago I played against someone you knew, one of your buddies who had
Anthony Sutler.
Yep. Who was borrowing the deck from you, and they randomly had a Niv Mizzet in the deck, and it blew me out so bad, and I was just like, you gotta be kidding me, what is happening? And I never knew that wasn't even his deck. I always thought, oh my god, this guy's just playing a frickin' Niv in his deck. God dang it, it's so good. I was on green-black at the time.
Yeah, green-black on food or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Funny story about that. So, the blue-red deck, it was a chain event. So he needed a deck. I actually borrowed that deck from a buddy in Lansing to play F&M in the weekly events.
Yep.
And I was going to go with Ray and my buddy Folger because they were going to go do the PT because I queued that week or two before. And I was like, I'll go and cheer you guys on. It's in Kalamazoo at Odyssey Games. I love the frozen yogurt place next door, so that's good enough reason for me to make the hour trip. So And then Anthony lives here in GR, or Grand Rapids for those that don't know what GR means. I was talking with him through on Facebook Messenger because at the time I was either still on the team with them or I was getting ready to transition over to Swish Gaming.
Yep.
I'm not sure which one, either or. I think I was still with them. Over with the Mana Rocks.
Yep.
But I was talking with him, and he said, "Hey, I'm not going," because I was like, "Hey, are you going to the PTQ?" And he said, "No, I'm not going. I don't have a deck." I was like, "I'm going to be there. I have a deck you can use if you want to come through." So he's like, "Okay, I'll come over. I'll come over." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I go, I bring the deck, and keep in mind, I made the deck for F&M and stuff. So Niv Mizzet, I found out, was actually pretty good in every matchup I've played it in, and
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, hard on for that card. I played it back when it first came out. I used to love that card against Vivians with Dive Down Backup.
Yep.
Oh, love me some Niv Mizzet. I've tried to play it in Modern. Don't play it in Modern.
Oh my god.
Don't play that in Modern.
That sounds horrible. But yeah, no, the card was really good, and it was super good in the scenario we were in.
So, let's touch that. You're in the matchup.
Yep.
What do you remember? Anything that was going on in particular?
Not very vividly. That one wasn't super special.
Okay.
It was a very medium day for me. It was one I didn't want to remember that much.
Well, you were on a winning end, though.
Yeah, I was in a winning end, but it was it was a really small PTQ, so it would not have been a winning end in like any other event. So I was already like annoyed. Like I was like X and 2. I think it was 3 and 2 with a winning end.
Yeah,
which is like whatever. But yeah, no, I just remember him playing it and being like, oh my god, I can never beat this right now. Like I need to draw a Murderous Rider or whatever, like immediately, or I cannot win. And I didn't draw it and died.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, I was very shocked, honestly, because like that was not like in the stock list,
No. Yeah, I always like taking stock lists, and I adapt them for what I think is coming in.
Yeah.
I never changed it. I told him. He actually asked me for the term about the Niv, and I was like, no, Niv is great. It's one of my favorite cards. Like, I'd play it if I was playing in the tournament.
Yeah.
And come to find out, the card worked out pretty well.
Yep, it was sweet. It was sweet.
Thankfully, honestly, I didn't even think it was like particularly good against Green-Black because Green-Black has heavy removal. But
yeah.
But the fact that if you can get the Niv with any sort of protection to back it up, like it's impossible because you're like, I'm gonna remove Niv Mizzet, and you respond. They like trigger, draw a card, answer it. You're down a resource. They're up a resource. Well, not they're even resources.
Yep.
But in my mind, they're up another resource because they were able to drain you down one, and I think that's so huge especially when you're playing against a blue-red style tempo deck.
Yep.
But no, that event was funny because I remember me, James, and Ray was in that little Coney Island looking place next door.
Yep.
You came, you were sitting there, you were in there. I don't know if you recalled this or not, but Anthony came in and he was like, I beat Steven. You're sitting right there.
Yeah, it's funny. I think he came like on the other side of the table or something.
Yeah,
so I kind of missed it.
Yeah, and I was like, he's right there. And he's like, oh, and his reaction.
I was really hungry and enjoying the food, or was ready to enjoy the food. The food there was actually quite good.
Food was actually
I was pretty
excellent.
impressed.
So if anybody goes to Kalamazoo Odyssey Games, there's like a little hockey bar next door.
Yeah.
Great food, great service. To be honest, it was a little weird service. Because you had to like order up. It was like a sit-down restaurant that you ordered at the thing, and this is before COVID.
Yeah,
COVID wasn't even a thing, for those that don't know. So it isn't like where they were doing COVID precautions is why it was just like a weird system they had, but it was cool. Like I said, I would definitely give it a 10 out of 10 for my experience purposes.
Yeah, but while we were talking about this story, actually, one of the funniest road stories I have. I don't even know if I've told you this one before. I've told a good amount of people this one before, but when I was just getting into the competitive scene, it was probably like third or fourth tournament. Me and a few buddies from high school decided to go to an open in Columbus, and we we all were pretty excited about it, you know, like our 4th event or whatever. And so we're really hyped, really, really ready to go. And we drive down. We get to the. We were staying at my uncle's house actually at the time. He lives in Columbus and offered to let us stay there, which was really awesome. But we pull up to his house and we're getting out of the car, and my buddy Dustin is pulling backpacks out of the back, and he goes, where are the cards? Where's the bag full of cards? I'm like, what? I'm like, what do you mean? Where's the bag of cards? He goes, our cards aren't back here. Well, it turns out one of the other guys in the car had left. So that day I had to go into work, and when I went into work, I dropped a buddy off, or dropped him off before going into work. And for some reason, he thought it would be a good idea that when he got in the car to move the bag of cards from the back seat to my trunk. I have no idea why he chose to do this, but he did. And he didn't tell me about it, and I wasn't aware. So when we were leaving Michigan to go to Columbus, I didn't see the bag in the back and just assumed that either someone else had taken it and put it in the car, or that I had done it already, and it was just like, okay, well, if the bag's not there, it must be in the car, we're good to go. It turns out, no, it was in my trunk at home. So this buddy of mine, Dustin, starts just screaming at the top of his lungs at like 10 p.m. It was probably even later than 10. It was like 10, 11 o'clock at night. My uncle's just is opening the door, welcoming us in, and his jaw just drops because he realizes what's going on, and he's like, "Are you?" Dustin's just yelling, "Screw you, F you, man! This is bullshit." He was so mad, and we're just in the middle of this really nice suburban neighborhood at night, and he's just out in the yard just yelling. Oh man. This was the last time I ever went to my uncle's house for a tournament, by the way, so I assume I don't think my aunt was too pleased with the things that were happening.
So do they still live there?
They do still live there, and fortunately, my uncle, a few times after this, still did. He got us a hotel once or twice, which was really cool, because for his job, he was able to do that.
Oh, he's willing to stake out a hotel, but he's not he's not letting you stay again.
Well, I think, like I said, my grandparents alluded to the fact that it may have been my aunt was really disappointed. And to be fair, you know,
it's rightful reason.
She had very rightful reason. She had really young daughters at the time too, and just a bunch of random young men coming into the house might have kind of freaked her out a little bit.
Especially men that are yelling.
That too.
And those probably don't know the other two. Let's be real.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So 2 unknown civilians in this situation are screaming in the evening in their suburban neighborhood. Yep. I probably wouldn't have even let you stay that night.
I know.
So you should be grateful that they even let you
stay.
I know.
Yeah. It was pretty crazy.
Let's follow up to that. What did y'all do?
So the person that left the cards in Michigan was really freaking out. Maggie Stengren, and she insisted that if she did not get to play, that she was not going to pay for the trip at all, or basically just saying that the trip was null or whatever.
So the one that left the cards, was the one being petty now.
Yeah, was the one being petty and crying the most about it. And so this was in the standard format where there was the Bant like hexproof deck with Geist, and you would like suit it up with Spectral Flights and all that.
In the Strahd time, right?
Yeah. And then another really big deck was Mardu Aristocrats, which is what I was going to play, like the Falcon Wrath Aristocrat, Doom Traveler.
Yeah, I know you talk about Falcon Wrath Aristocrat.
Yeah, I love that
a lot.
card.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, so they're crying the most. We had, I think there were 5 or 6 people on this trip. So the other people who went with us, they were able to kind of help us get some decks together. I think I ended up playing Legacy that weekend and did not play Standard because we were only able to get the hexproof deck together, and that we may have been able to get one other one that Dustin was able to play, but I ended up doing Legacy, and I think at that time Legacy was the next day, if I'm remembering properly. But anyway, so Maggie plays this deck, and I'm watching Maggie play the deck over her shoulder pretty often, and they do not play the deck well, to say the least. They make many mistakes. And I think they went like 2-3. Maggie went 2-3, and that was the end of her day. But yeah, that was a pretty wild trip. I know that was my first time ever playing Legacy. I think I played Death and Taxes. Went okay, but yeah, it was just a really crazy time.
Yeah, those kind of trips are what readies you for the next ones.
Yeah.
You get more mature and more experience in being able to do these things.
Yep.
Unfortunately for you, it didn't really teach you much because you
yeah, I was about to say, your first experience with me was me not playing Magic at a tournament.
For those that want to hear more about that story, go check out in our archives with Road Stories with James Johnson. Yep. We talked about our trip from New Jersey, which just was a year ago, a few weeks ago, hit the 1 year mark for that. It was actually on the anniversary of Kobe's death, so I would definitely go listen back to that trip because, oh buddy, that
was a very eventful weekend.
And we're gonna say we're not gonna beat the dead horse or whatever. We're gonna go try to tell some fresh stories.
Yep.
I know I mentioned how PT Phoenix was just a year ago.
Yep.
Let me go in depth a little bit more because that was a long week. We left on like Tuesday or Wednesday. I believe it was Tuesday, and we were there until like that next Monday.
Yep.
We were there for quite some time, but it was my first PT. Ray's been to so many PTs, so I think it was numb to him already.
Yep.
He had to work very hard. Funny thing, that PTQ that you lost to Niv Mizzet, he actually won that PTQ. Yep. While I'm winning a 130-person PTQ in Columbus in Modern. He's over here winning a 20-person PTQ in Kalamazoo, where you can get some frozen yogurt.
Yeah,
like it's not fair.
Beat our buddy James Johnston in the top 8 too. That was quite a match.
That was the highlight of my day.
That was a great.
That
match took like an hour and 45 minutes, man.
Another funny thing, right?
Yeah,
is that James was another reason I wanted to go to that event because I love watching him lose. James is also a teammate of ours. He's the only teammate on our team that I cheer against. But back to PT Phoenix. This is the first one. It's called the Players Tour. Mm-hmm. It was pretty funny because they changed the thing. They changed the PT circuit. They went to Mythic Championship, and they started doing this. Everybody gets $500 for showing up.
Yep.
Everybody gets $500 for showing up. Matthew Stafford, another buddy, he went to his first PT in Richmond, got $500 just to show up. It's awesome.
Must be nice.
I queued for the Players Tour. I'm like, this is awesome. They're like, we're no longer going to do the $500 for everybody. I was like, of course you're not. Of course you're not. They heard Larry's queued, and they're like, screw him. So I'm like, all right. I was like, sweet. They're like, we're also not going to cover airfare no more. Awesome. Thankfully, Channel Fireball, people give them crap, but they gave me $800 for winning the PTQ for travel expenses.
That's nice. Thank God.
Yeah. So I was able to use that to go and get an airplane. I actually got my flight at last second because I let Ray and them decide what air flight they want to do. I wasn't going to buy mine off rip. I usually fly Delta.
Yep.
Delta is my dog.
Yep.
I like nonstop flights for a reason, and I'm going to be telling you in a minute why I like nonstop flights. So, I'm in a group chat with the guys. It's me, Ray, and Folger. They go, and they tell me, hey, we booked a flight. Here's how much it was. It was reasonably priced. The pricing wasn't the issue. The issue was, one, it was through United. Not the strongest fan of since they threw the guy off the airplane. Haven't been a big fan of them since. Yeah. But let's ignore that. Maybe it was a one-time thing. It won't happen again. I was like, sure. It makes no sense for us to fly out separate. So I got the flight number. Went and looked, and I looked on the itinerary. There's a layover. in Dallas. It's either Dallas or Houston. It's in Texas. That's all I know. Only time I've actually been to Texas. I'm counting it as my 50-state goal. So we get there, and it takes forever for this plane to get off. And I'm like, man, we got a layover. Like, it was only a 45-minute layover. It's not a large layover.
Yeah.
So when we get there, we got like 20 minutes to get all the way across the airport.
Okay.
They said it takes 15 minutes running to get to the next gate.
Oh, boy.
So we're all dipping. Like, I'm behind them because I smoke cigarettes at this time. I can't keep up for this to save my life.
Yep.
I get there. I'm sitting there. I'm bumping into people, not caring. I thought about just leaving my rollaway bag. Like, I don't need clothes. I thought about it. It crossed my mind so many times.
Jeez, man.
So we go. And also keep in mind, I'm on no sleep.
Yep.
I haven't been to bed. I had a small nap on the airplane to get from Detroit to Texas.
Yep.
So now I'm kind of irritated doing this too because I don't like being in a rush. I think I spoke to you earlier today. I was talking about like I get to the airport early because I like to just hang out in the airport and just be relaxed. I don't like to be tense.
Yeah, that's horrible.
I think being tense and being frustrated or irritated on an airplane, it just isn't a good time. Why am I going to spend $400 or whatever the price of the airplane ticket is to not be able to enjoy myself?
Yeah.
I don't get to go on vacations a lot.
Exactly. That's what I was just about to say. If you're on a plane, it's almost always a vacation.
Yeah, I don't have a business like that.
You better be enjoying your time.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure.
And then it just can ruin your trip.
Yep.
So we get there and we're going. And then the best part, here's the best part. We get there. And keep in mind, we checked the things and it said the plane was on time.
Okay.
I finally get to the end, right? I get to the end. Ray and Folger's already there. I'm sitting there. I'm a little winded. Not going to lie. Get there and there's the longest line at the gate. Keep in mind, we're at the exact time that we're supposed to be loading. There was a delay that they didn't say anything about. So we rushed and we waited probably about another 20-25 minutes for that airplane to load.
Oh, man.
So I ran for nothing.
That's really annoying, yeah.
I don't like the run. So that's how we start. We got in the airplane. Get to Phoenix. Beautiful airport. I think the airport was awesome. Come to find out, Ray never booked a hotel. So we're sitting there, out where the Ubers and stuff are, booking a hotel on the fly. We sitting there. We didn't all have the money at the time because I believe all of us were like getting paid the next day or something like that. So we weren't really planned on booking a hotel last night, and the hotels were super expensive at this time.
Yeah.
So we go. We all had to contact friends and stuff to help out. Like, we went through our connections to be able to get it taken care of.
Yeah.
We were able to take it care of. Those who weren't able to pay up front, we took care of it. You know, like a good magic group does.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we do what we got to do to get things done. If not, we would have slept on the side of the road or something. It's cool.
Yep.
We were in Phoenix. Nothing could stop us.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, and I'm like, all right. Oh, no, I wasn't waiting to get paid. I was just waiting for my deposit. Like, I got paid that day. It just didn't go in yet.
All right.
I was like, well, so I just had to keep checking my PayPal. I was like, one day it's going to come in.
Yep.
And, of course, it took longer that day than normal because, you know, you're in a different state. Of course it's going to take longer. So we get there, and then I realized I was feeling, let's just say, a cold breeze. My pants were ripped. It must have happened from the running.
Oh, my God.
All through the lining and stuff was just ripped. And I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. We get to the hotel, and this hotel, it's nice, but it's just so weird because there's just, like, people walking around, like, and it looked like there was a couple of homeless guys just walking throughout the area. Like, it didn't seem like the greatest hotel, but it wasn't the worst at the same time. And then we had to venture off and find a Walmart to try to fix my pants or get new pants. And then Ubers were so expensive there.
Yeah.
So expensive. And the best part, so we fast forward. The first day we went down there. Our buddy, he wanted to go on that Friday to go do all the PTQs. Because he wasn't queued. He was just going, and we were queued.
Yeah.
which is reasonable. You know, it's
Yep.
still a Grand Prix weekend. There's no
Yeah.
reason not to go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then I didn't know all the goodies you get from a PT.
Yeah.
You get some goodies.
Yep.
So I got there. They gave me a bunch of booster packs. I sat there. I got fancy tote bag. I got thing actually behind the area over here. It's over on the table.
Yep.
I got a tote bag, bunch of stuff, and I was like, "Why they give all these boosters?" Because I had no knowledge of this. I've never been to a PT. Where it's like, "Oh, those are for drafting. It's to get you prepped for drafting them." So he linked up, and we got with some of his groups and buddies. The first pod, forgot who was really in the first pod. Except for he's a Magic Pro. What's his name? Ball. He has like a long beard.
Yeah. Jacob Ball.
Jacob Ball.
Yep.
Super cool guy, by the way. I
Okay,
got to know
nice.
him throughout the weekend, hence because of Ray. But super nice guy. So he ended up playing Mount White Healy out in the PT that weekend.
That's
and,
sweet.
I was
sweet.
like, you brave soul. Brave soul. But no, we drafted with him in the first one. It's a good time. Then on Raja, it was Raja, Noah.
Yep.
Do you know Misplaced Ginger?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you know he is. Oh yeah, cool dude. So funny. So me and him was playing against each other. And I'm talking, and he was like, talking about how he don't like clowns.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I like clowns. I was like, oh, like the icon. He's like, don't say that. He's just all tripping out about clowns. While we're playing, by the way. Like, we're just playing, he's tripping out about
That's
clowns.
really funny.
This is after I just steamrolled through Noah, because I went 3-0 in our practice draft.
Nice.
And I felt pretty good about it because we had Misplaced Ginger. What I forget, I don't know his actual name, by the way.
I don't either. Yeah, it's kind of like
That's a streamer name.
Jabberwocky.
Yeah.
You know, most people know him by Jabberwocky, but his real name I think is Logan Nettles. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah. Anyway, so Misplaced Ginger. I've played against him many times.
Raja, Noah's in there.
Yep.
There's a couple other guys I can't think of them names offhand.
Yep.
And Ray, of course. Ray actually left in the early because he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go get a haircut in Phoenix." Something he could have did at home, by the way. He just randomly was like,
So he's basically just like the Kansas City Chiefs.
"Yeah."
He just wants to get his hair cut before the big event.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Yeah, so he's like,
That
"I'm
is
going."
so wild to me.
He's like,
man.
"I'm gonna
I
walk-"
cannot imagine wanting to go get my hair cut before an event. But I
Like
don't know.
in a different town, like
I
we're
know,
in
it's
Phoenix.
very interesting.
The funny part, I thought he was joking, so we're going through, and he's on his phone. He's like looking up haircut places, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm trying to get a haircut." So I'm like, "Okay." He's saying he's gonna go get a haircut.
Yeah.
I was like, he was just wearing a ball cap the whole time. Like, he did look kind of bummy, not gonna lie,
Sure.
but it's fine. But no, he went and got a haircut. He came back, and it's like, oh, weight was lifted.
So fun.
It's like, I couldn't do this. I couldn't be in the PT main event looking like that.
It's hilarious.
So, fast forward, now we're to the main event. Oh, by the way, my buddy got to the finals of the PTQ twice and lost in the finals.
Oh,
Savagery.
painful. Yeah.
Yeah. Such is life, you know, that's how the cookie crumbles, as they say.
Yeah.
So we get to the main event. I'm sitting there. I'm getting in my pod because I'm like, oh, I'm looking. I see some people in their pods, and they're against, like, I don't want to say scrubs. That's not correct. But they're against
Not against like the
not experienced players.
Yeah.
Experienced to the levels. I get to my pod, and I didn't really look at my paper. Now I'm sitting there, and now I grab the slip that's on the table. I look. And here comes sitting next to me. I look to my right, Austin Collins.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, then here's another, there's a Lotus Box player. The one that played, they said Terra Girl. I don't know his name.
Oh yeah. Evan Whitehouse.
Evan Whitehouse. And I'm like, okay, and then there's one more person at this pod. No, two more people. Mike Segrist.
Yep.
He's at this end. And Patrick Chapin.
Nice.
And I sit there, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier. I played a lot of Avzan aggro.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a lot of Patrick Chapin footage from learning Avzan aggro.
Yep.
So all of my beginning competitive, like, I got back in Magic for Dragonstar here and instantly started playing Avzan. And I pretty much, let's be real, it's kind of like the term idolizing a person. Like, I watched all their stuff. Any footage that they had, like, from tournaments, I was watching him. So I learned how to, because I was like, I wanted to learn how to play Siege Rhino the best. God, you remember when that card would be considered good?
Mm-hmm.
That card would be a joke right now.
Yeah.
But we've mentioned that multiple times.
Yeah.
But no, I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I've always played against this guy, so I introduced myself to him. I was like, yeah, all that good stuff. Sat there, I was like, okay. I drafted, forgot what I drafted to this day. I think it was like green white enchantments.
Okay.
It was either green white or green blue. I think it was green white. But anywho, I'm pretty sure it was green white enchantments. So I sat there. I've drafted so much of this set, so I sat there. My deck, I thought my deck was pretty good. It was green white because I had the guy that lets you look at the top X cards of your library and you grab an enchantment off.
Oh,
of
nice.
It.
Yeah, yeah.
Just a creature when he enters or whatever.
Yep.
And I had 2 of them in my deck. So I thought my deck was really. I thought it was a solid deck. Yep. I sat there, round 1, looked at the pairing board, Patrick Chapin. I was like, all right, Patrick. I was like, and I was nervous. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
Nervous. I 2-0'd him.
Nice.
2-0 Patrick Chapin. It was my greatest thing. I still have a picture of the match slip.
That's nice.
No regrets about that. Then round 2, we have to play against Mike Segrist.
Yep.
You want to talk about somebody that whooped my tail?
Yeah.
So he had this little, I believe it was a 4-drop. It's the one that could let you turn animate lands or whatever.
It was a 2-drop.
Oh yeah, it was a 2-drop.
2 mana, 2/3.
Was it 4 to activate?
Yeah, it was like X and a green. It might have been 4 to activate. Yeah, but it wasn't like a. It's like a 2 mana, 2/3. Can't be countered. Yeah. Enchantment creature couldn't be countered, and then can't like creatures.
No, it can be countered, but enchantments and stuff afterwards couldn't be countered.
Fair enough.
But the counter thing wasn't relevant anyway.
Yeah.
But I know, after game 1 when he beat me, I was like, okay, he beat me by just doing that kind of stuff. Game 2, he played it, and I was like, kill it. I was so confident. I'm not expressing emotion. I learned back in wrestling and stuff, like amateur wrestling, don't express emotion. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, like, in response, at the end of the turn, kill it. In my mind, I'm like, I think I got a real shot because my hand's going to line up nicely now. And then he's like, go untap, plays another one. That was rough.
Nice.
I finally get to a point in the game, I'm like, it's very grindy, but I'm chipping in for some damage. I'm like, I think I might be able to pull this off. He goes, draws, looks down, taps 3 mana, plays Euro. That was the first taste of Euro I've got.
Nice.
I did not win that game.
I would imagine not.
And then I ended up doing well in the next one or whatever. But no, I was like, and then I actually talked to with Mike throughout the weekend after that. Like, another super nice guy.
Yeah.
Like, there's some really nice guys there. And Chapin was also another guy because I talked to him afterwards because I asked him about like some stuff. I told him first PT, yada yada. So just, a little chat. Like, I ain't afraid to ask people questions. Mm-hmm. Sat there, and then the constructed part came on. I didn't do the best in constructed. I don't think my deck was designed correctly. I didn't anticipate how open deck list would really be the approach.
Yep.
I probably didn't get enough testing in either. Like, I wish I could have done, but I had to do a lot of work to make sure I could go to Phoenix.
Yeah.
Such as the life of magic grinding.
Yep.
So, unfortunately, we didn't do well, but we made it to the PT.
Yep.
But let me go, the person that knocked me out of day 1 was Patrick Chapin. Which is fitting. I beat him in round 1, and he beat me to knock me out of day 1.
That's funny.
That's how the world revolves, as they say. So yeah, he was playing Soul Tie. I had no graveyard hate, and he smacked me around like, schoolyard girl or whatever they say.
Yep.
And if you notice, whenever I play Mono Black now, I always play a full grip of Leyline of the Voids for Soul Tie. Because that was my second taste of Euro that day.
Yep.
It was a good time.
Yep.
I enjoyed playing against that card.
As most people do.
But yeah, I really enjoyed going to Phoenix. Like, it's a shame that where we are a year later, I would have never imagined that back when I was doing that pro tour.
Yeah, for sure.
Or players tour, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, tell us another story, Steven.
Honestly, that's right now. That's kind of that was the one I was thinking of. Let me. I guess another kind of kind of funny one is that has to do with me kind of being a goofball. I don't know if I've alluded to this one on the cast before or not, but and this one actually happened at the Invitational, but another kind of funny road trip story. And this is, I guess, more of a tournament story, but whatever, it still works. So at the Invitational, it was like round 7 or 8, and I sit down, and I think I was 7-0 at this point, and I'm sitting down, I'm excited for a match, got my bag next to me, reach into my bag, and deck's gone. Don't know where my deck is. I'm freaking out. I have no clue where my deck is. Look all over. Can't find it. So I frantically go up to the stage, the SCG stage, and I'm like, I'm missing my deck. Like, do you have this deck? Like, this deck box? Here's what it looks like. And they're like, no, we haven't had anyone come over or give us that. So then I'm, obviously very freaked out at this point. I was to begin with anyway. Turns out I put the deck box just in a separate area of my bag. So I was freaking out for no reason, but it's kind of another just me being a moron story that hopefully our viewers can enjoy. But yeah, it was even more funny because of how well I was doing in the tournament. Obviously, James Johnston was really annoyed with this scenario.
What tournament
and
was
not
this?
surprised at all.
Recently?
It was the Invitational.
Oh, this past the one that you top 8?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Was it on his deck that you were borrowing?
Yes.
Oh, was that the Urza?
Yeah, it was the Urza deck.
That's the most beautiful part
yeah,
about
not
it.
my deck. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, no, that that had to frustrate him.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
To be fair, all James does, he likes to go and play the worst deck possible. I think he does it intentionally because he just wants to play Mario Kart all weekend.
It's so funny. I can't remember what he played that weekend. He played
he played Mono Green and Pioneer,
and that was
the
reasonable.
Devotion.
That was reasonable.
But not when you're on no reps.
That's true. Yeah.
And he played no reps because he said he played. He's like, I just figure it's the best deck, so I just picked it up. Like no rep. I'm like, that's sketchy. Like,
to be fair, that's what I did with Urza. That's my first time ever playing Urza.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's pretty
Which
funny.
also pissed him off a lot.
I think it pissed him. Okay, so I got this story. Let me tell you about the best open I've done is 50th, or like top 50.
Okay.
Right, and that was in Atlanta.
Okay.
And I played Bant Urza.
Nice. Okay.
Let's start with the beginning of the story. I was very determined that I was going to play this Fires of Invention Taking Turns deck or whatever.
Right. I remember that.
That deck was going to be so much fun.
The deck was hilarious.
I was so geared to play it. Ray found out I was going to play. He's like, no, you shouldn't play that. No, you're not playing that. He's like, I'll give you my Urza deck. You're going to play that. He's like, you're not going to go all the way to Atlanta and play that bullshit. I would never go all that way to play a BS deck. And I was like, you're right. I borrow Urza. I've never played it before. So I go fish or whatever. Play not a single practice game with it. We got to Atlanta. And keep in mind, we went to Atlanta. We drove. It was me, Zach Allen, and James Johnson.
Yep.
And James does not like traffic, and we went to Atlanta, and oh, buddy. Talk about a guy that was not a fan.
Football game, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a football
game?
game?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
When we first get there, I booked a hotel. I go into the woman, and she's like, I use a PayPal debit card, right?
Yep.
I use it for almost everything.
Okay, yeah.
She looks, and she was like, we can't accept cards with PayPal on it. I was like, that's a very specific rule. Like,
yeah.
Who has a specific rule for a card that's not common? Keep in mind. I was like, you take NetSpend and all these prepaid debit cards, but PayPal's where you draw the line. So after talking with her, and I'm not angry with her now. She's like, you know what? I'll just pretend like I didn't see the word PayPal on your card. I was like, okay. I was like, this is a weird interaction. So we get up to the room. Zach's not with us, by the way, just to fill that in. He's doing a local thing. Because BCW did the BCW players versus the local game, and they invited Zach to come and participate with them.
Nice.
So we dropped Zach off to go do that, and we left to go back to get the hotel and stuff. Me and James go up to the room. We go up to the room, and the door is cracked. Sketch number 1. We go into the room, and the TV's on, blaring. There's towels on the bed and stuff. Wet washcloths everywhere. And we're just like, what in the hell is this?
Nice.
And we're like, what is going on right now? So I go down to the receptionist. I was like, hey, it's like somebody had a party or an orgy in our bedroom. Like, what is going on right now? And she's like, I am so sorry. She gets us a new room. I go in there and was like, James, if there's a wet washcloth on this bed, we're going to go get a different place. Thankfully, there wasn't.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny, to say the least.
Yeah.
So we go, get in there. Zach eventually goes up. And then, this is part of funny. Zach really didn't want to share a bed. He's like, I pay people not to share a bed with me.
He does hate sharing beds. I've had that come up too. Yeah.
He hates sharing beds. I said, I don't care. I'll spoon with James. I'll spoon with you. I don't really care. It ain't a difference to me. So he goes and he's like, hey, how about we do this? We're gonna do. It was either high roll or something like that.
Yep.
He's sitting there. We're gonna do that. And I was like, okay. He goes for this. He loses. He's like, fuck. Loses the first one. We'll get to the second night when that time comes. So he loses the first one, and then in the first one, he's sleeping with James. He has sleep with James, and I'm like, sweet. I was one that didn't care at all, and I got my own bed.
Yep.
I was like, this is awesome. So we go. Next day we come. We get to Atlanta. Long walk to the convention center, by the way, from where Uber dropped us off. It's pretty annoying, but it's whatever. We get there again. I've done no reps.
Yep.
Dewey was there as well, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Dewey flew down there, whatever. Sat there. I've never played Urza a day in my life, and I'm like, all right, let's see how this goes. We go 0-2 fast. We lost to Infect, and then I lost to. I don't even remember what it was called. It was a blue deck.
Sure.
That's all. It was a blue X deck.
Yep.
I want to say it was Teamer.
Okay.
But we'll just say Teamer.
All right.
I just know it was a blue deck for sure.
Start 0-2.
So I started 0-2, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay, I got to be doing something wrong. So I had like 30 minutes before the timer went off. So essentially, I have an hour. Knowing how Magic works. So I go. I take my phone, take the deck. I sit over in my own area, and I start going online studying it.
Yep.
I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I watched little quick videos. I watched Zan Syed's deck text from things. I started working and trying to figure out what I need to do. I proceeded to win out that day. My winning in that day, I went turn 2 Oko. Yep, turn 2 Oko. No, turn 1 Oko. That's what it was.
Great. Yep.
Yeah, turn 1 Oko.
Yep.
That's why, because my opponent, the look on his face, because I don't think it was Teamer, because that dude was on Teamer control.
Okay.
So the other one was a blue X deck.
Yep.
We're gonna move past that now.
Okay.
It's a blue deck.
Yep.
But this dude was on Teamer, which his deck was super cool, by the way. He was playing some what is the damn werewolf card?
Huntmaster?
Huntmaster.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of the name to save my life. He was playing Huntmaster, a bunch of cool cards that can't be the Nokel turn 1.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people could.
Not many cards can, yeah.
So I was like, woohoo, I made day 2. Sitting there. I was super pumped. I was like, yeah, I made day 2. This is going to be awesome. I was like, I actually had never made a day 2 of an SCG event up to that point.
Wow, okay.
No, it's my second one, but I've never cashed an SCG event at this point.
Okay.
I day 2'd 1, and I ended up losing one in the last round to make cash when I was playing Burn.
Yeah.
It was that like indie before that. Not like whatever the indie was before that event.
Yeah.
So we go back to the hotel and stuff. And we just do our thing. We go grab food. I forget what we really did that night. At least the first night. So we go. Now Zach's back in Zach's mode. He's like, all right. I really don't want to share a bed with James tonight. So we'll roll again. He rolls. He's like, fuck. He lost again. Now he has to share a bed with me.
God dang it. That's so funny, man.
So me and James, who don't care, both won the
got them.
rose.
That's wonderful.
And the guy that wanted it the most was like, could not win a rose to save his life.
That's really funny.
So, we're sitting there. And I think it's hilarious. He doesn't think it's as funny as me. You know, it's whatever. And this hotel, also had a great breakfast.
Sweet.
So those always start your tournaments well.
Yeah, they do.
Now we get to Sunday. The day of the fun. So, we're going. It's not that bad to get there. We get to the convention center. We just Uber there.
Yep.
We Uber down there because we're going to pay for parking. We figured it'd be easier. We were wrong, but we'll get to that. We do the event. James already was knocked out. He didn't make day 2. He had to play for some store credit in the classics.
Yep.
Which is also pretty fitting because it's classic James.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk to James, he's still riding high on his second place finish in a glorified PPTQ. So if you know James Johnson, let him know that his second place means nothing. But back to what we were saying. We're going, and I would have actually got top 16 if I would have won. I had a close game against Affinity. I just couldn't find an answer. I had a land pocket when he was able to finally get, it was like this. I forget the card, but he pretty much got this guy going to start doing increments of damage to me. I can't think of what the card was that he did it to him, but it's been so long now. So anyways, he had a base of damage coming in at me, increments every turn that I just couldn't find an answer for. Mm-hmm. Such is life of the variance game of Magic.
Yep.
The game was close. Like, it wasn't a blowout or anything. Like, very grindy matchup. I ended up... So, we get to the last round. Now James is over watching. We're playing for cash. I'm up against this guy. He's playing mono green devotion aggro. Playing for cash. While James is watching as a spectator when he played Urza that weekend.
Oh, that's nice.
It had him, he felt great about it. So we're sitting there, right? This guy, he was like, I play Urza. He was like, can I read what that does? Infuriates James.
Oh, man.
Dude don't know what Urza does. I was like, okay, that's fine. Makes sense. I sit there, play Mox Opal. He's like, can I read that?
Oh.
This dude has to read almost everything I play.
Oh, my God.
He has no idea he didn't play a single Urza deck that weekend.
Wow.
He should get an award for that.
That's crazy, yeah.
Which is funny because in Vegas, back with Hogak Summer, I played 2 days in that tournament, played Hogak 0 times.
That's insane.
And my deck was so geared for it, I was going to steamroll that deck. I had everything going for me.
So frustrating when that happens.
Had a mainboard relic. Oh, buddy.
Burn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was ready. Oh, had some more sideboard hate for him. Oh, I was ready.
God, that's so annoying.
Deflecting palms are ready, and they were signed. Oh, 4 of them.
Yep.
All on the board.
Yep.
Oh, but that didn't happen. But back to the say. So James is infuriated. I ended up winning the match. And mainly because I ran circles because my opponent... And I ain't gonna lie, James was like, why didn't you do this? I was like, I didn't get to have as much fun with Urza as I wanted to, so I was spinning Urza for the heck of it, just because I like spinning Urza. I was like...
Oh my God.
He was like, what if you would have lost? I was like, well, at least I would have spun Urza. So that, and that infuriated him even more.
Oh my goodness, that's... Yeah. Wow.
So we get out of the thing, right? We get it done with the tournament. I'm kind of stoked because I've never cashed the SCG event. I was like, woo, I paid about $200-something for this weekend. I made $50. Who's really winning?
Yeah.
So we're going, and then we call an Uber. Unfortunately, Atlanta Falcons are playing in the convention centers literally next door. And come to find out, an Uber can't get to us because all the roads are blocked. There's only one route to get to us, and the Uber drivers, they canceled us 4 times to get new drivers because they could not figure out how to get to us. We were like in the Bermuda Triangle. Lost and never going to be received again.
Oh, man, that's so annoying.
We eventually get one, and then, of course, the cab driver is listening to a Cleveland Browns game in the car, and this time when they sucked, and they're playing against New England. New England's up like 21-0. And the guy's like, I am so tired of New England and Tom Brady. He was like, I'm glad that Tom Brady's never going to play for another team. He's like, when he finally retires with New England, I won't have to see him in Super Bowls anymore. I wish we could go back and talk to that cab driver, by the way.
That's really
and be
funny.
like, hey, buddy, you remember when you were driving us around and you said Tom Brady won't be in another Super Bowl? Which he might possibly win the 7th Super Bowl in a matter of 12 hours.
Yeah.
Like, who's to know?
Mm-hmm.
So, it's so funny how time reflects and changes. Like, who would think that we hated how busy that tournament was because of the Atlanta Falcons game, but we would kill for that kind of crowd interaction right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
that is crazy. But we'll be doing more road stories like this when we start bringing Raymond on. We're going to bring Dewey on, let them tell us some road stories, because they definitely have so many more than we have.
Mm-hmm.
And also to get a new perspective, because they go with different groups than we do. Ray's been with everybody.
Yep.
He's told me some road stories. I'm not going to recite his stories because I don't want to butcher his stories at all, and they're not mine to tell.
Yep.
So I definitely am going to be bringing him on. I'm going to message him on tomorrow to see when we can get him on next week. I'll tell him what our schedules are, especially yours, because I know you're actually working now. So our recording process is going to be broken down.
Yep.
Before we move on to our next segment, the retouch when we were talking at the beginning of the show, we're actually going to be producing our podcast every week, and we're going to be doing it through multiple days. The goal is to be releasing them on either Friday or Saturday. And then, honestly, I think we're going to try to release them on Sundays. I think Sundays is a good target day.
Yeah.
That way we can go ahead and spend the whole week producing.
Yep.
We can produce all of our stuff and release all our videos on the same day. I think that would actually be pretty good if we just release all videos on Sundays.
Makes sense, yeah.
But one of the things that we're going to be doing, like we mentioned, we're going to be doing limited videos.
Yep.
This final segment where we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking about limited.
Yep.
We're going to be talking about, what is the name of the set? Kaldeihm?
Yep, Kaldeihm.
Kaldeihm.
Yep.
I knew it was something. I didn't think it was Kaldeihm, but Kaldeihm. We're not going to talk about standard, modern, or anything like that. We're not going to touch a Thibault's trickery controversy or any of that stuff, or Thibault. We're talking about purely limited.
Yep.
And how limited it is in general. But right now, when we first jumped into it, it was like a week or so ago. We had no idea what we were doing.
Yep.
We were entering our first approach on the format.
Yep.
I might have done one, or maybe I did. I think I did one. Anywho, we went into it, and at first glance, we were convinced that blue was going to be really good because of
Behold the Multiverse.
Yeah, Behold the Multiverse. We were convinced that blue was where you wanted to be. We made some bad blue decks. We did have one.
We had one really good one. Yep.
It had Blood on the Snow.
Blood on the Snow is a great rare.
And a couple pillars.
We were able to build around it.
Yep.
It was
quite
a sweet
well.
deck. Yeah.
That deck was good. The rest of our blue decks were so forced, so bad.
Yep.
We were trying to make Multiverse the only card we were looking for.
Yep.
We were ignoring the clear signs that were better decks.
Yep.
And that comes from not knowing the format.
Yep.
We made educated guesses on what we thought was the correct way to build decks in that. And our educated guess ended up being wrong.
Yep.
That's how it goes. That's why it is called a guess.
Yep.
And I don't regret our first approach.
Yep.
And then there's a dude that we mentioned earlier named Andrew Ellebagen, who made a tweet talking about Run Amok.
Which is funny because the night before I was talking to you about how I did that Berserker draft and thought it was a pretty okay deck. I hadn't played it yet. I just did the draft on like Wednesday. But I was telling you I had a couple Run Amoks and I thought it might be a pretty good aggro deck. And we were talking about how the last time Run Amok was a card in Limited, I thought it was pretty good too. I don't remember what set it was, but I do remember that it was a pretty great trick in that format too. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah, Ellen Bogan makes a tweet about how basically Run Amok is the new Doomblade, and you should just draft as many as possible. some of that may be a little bit exaggeration. Obviously, pump spells do have diminishing returns, so you do need to be careful to not like play 12 of them or whatever, because you need the creatures to.
I wish
to take
somebody
the pump
would
spell.
let me get 12 run amongst. I'll play them all.
Oh boy,
I'd play all.
okay,
of them.
that's cool. I think I have a draft right now where I have 4 of them. I'm probably going to play all 4, but that's about the point where like 5, 6. I probably don't want to play 5 or 6 because at the end of the day, like you need to put the creatures into play to attack, and if you draw all pump spells, you're not going to do anything. So you do have to be careful.
No, for sure.
But the card is super good. Blocking in this format sucks. It seems like against the aggressive decks, there are a lot of very good tricks, which has been a theme in a few limited formats. Sometimes that's a thing. If you're blocking, you're losing, and it definitely feels like most of the blockers.
Most limited formats feel like that,
Yeah.
though. And that's a rule I learned a lot in limited.
Yeah.
Like,
If you're
when you're blocking, you're probably
Yeah.
losing.
Yeah.
You're definitely not ahead if you're blocking.
Yeah.
That's a
very rarely.
That's a question.
There are a few situations
Like
where
control or something
Yep.
like that. If you're
I remember in the limited format that everyone loves was with the morphs and stuff. What was the name of that format?
Morph, let's see, Dragon's Target.
Yes, that block. But anyway, I remember in that format there was like the 5-mana 2/8 was Rotting Mastodon. I think that dude was really good at blocking, and there weren't like there weren't crazy pump spells. But even if there were a 2/8 for 5 mana in this format, we have a 3/7 for 6 mana.
No,
He is 6. Yeah. And he has 1 less toughness. That 8 toughness, man. I mean, you're not pump spelling through that very often. So that card was an incredible blocker. There were some nice like mid-rangey, dirtily decks in that format. But anyway, Run Amok is a super strong trick. And that Berserker deck I was telling you about was a 7 winner for me and did really well. And we've found that red is definitely sweet and seems to be open a pretty good amount of the time. Excuse me, right now.
Yeah, so far in my limited, I have realized I have forced red in every one, and I've got a minimum 3 wins.
Yeah.
I'm averaging 5 wins in every red deck. There's a couple I get 3 wins, but it's like 5 wins. I had a 7-win deck, which we'll be getting into that.
Yep.
I've had a couple 6-win decks, which I ended up losing just because, sometimes you just get not outplayed, but like outvalued, things like that. Sometimes your opponent just has a bomb you can't deal with. Like, you can't do anything about that.
Yep.
Like, today I played a red deck, and this guy doom-scarred me twice because he played back in his hand, and I still won that game.
Yep. Yeah, no, my drafts have been nuts so far. I think I'm 28-4. Like I've 7-winned all of my drafts, and I had 2 losses in one, and 1 loss in 2 of the others, and then 1 of them was an unbeaten. So, and 3 of them were red. So, yeah, no, I've been getting very fortunate in draft so far, which has been nice. It's a really fun format. I'm enjoying it so far, but.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I think if you want to just get value out of your drafts, force red. Honestly, red, and then just find a good secondary color to complement it. I've been actually having my best success recently with green because all them fight spells are pretty good. That Fight Saga is nice.
Yeah, yep, the giant one, right? The red green. I don't know if it's actually giant related at all, but I think there's like a giant's name or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, that card's sweet.
Also, another reason I like it because in red you have the 4-mana foretell spell that makes 2 2/1s.
Yep.
That card lines up really good with the 4-drop that makes a 1/1 elf.
Yep.
Because you're going wide, and then it actually makes your run amucks and things like that even better. And you also get that +4/+4 trick, which I found that card's actually really good.
Yep.
I've been very impressed by that card because especially when you're spamming tokens, it's so good. And then red having that 2-drop that lets you boast, it goes really good with the 3-drop that lets you tutor lands up.
Yep.
They complement each other quite well.
Yeah. Red has a lot of very, very strong commons. One that really stands out to me actually is the 3-mana Dwarf Berserker that's a 3/2 with haste. The reason he stands out is in a lot of formats that is an uncommon. Like a 3/2 haste for 3, just vanilla 3/2 haste for 3, and with two pretty relevant creature types. It is a lot of times an uncommon. Like I remember in there was like a gremlin that was, I guess he was double, and he was even harder to cast. It was double red and a colorless, and it was a 3/3 with haste, but it was harder to cast. So you have a harder to cast card for a harder to cast mana cost, with only 1 toughness being the upside. And in that format, the creature type wasn't a huge deal either. It was a gremlin. Forget the name of it, and I forget exactly what set it was. It was in the vehicle block.
That's on Kaldeihm stuff.
Yep, it was in that block. I forget which set in there it was in. But, yeah, so that card's been really good. I've had 2 decks, 2 or 3. The draft we did with Nate after you guys did the video, we had, I think, 4 of that guy, if I remember right. I had 3 in one of my decks, and I've had 2 in, 2 others. The card's just very, very good at racing and swinging races and stuff like that.
Yep. I was actually going to mention that I've been getting higher and higher on that card.
Yeah.
Because today, I've had at least 3 in every draft.
Yeah.
I always get 3. And that card's just so good because I just throw out my non-haste creatures first.
Yep.
They answer those, and they send their... And it's so easy because it messes up their blocks, because they'll be like, all right, they're most likely if they play a creature, I don't have to worry about it. So they just line up their blocks and everything. They're like, all right, I got 2 blockers. And then you're like, got this guy that gets in there now.
Yep.
And then it also complements your run-amucks because you mess up their combat math. So now they're going to have to block awkwardly. And then when you find out how they're going to block, and then you base it off your situation with open mana, open resources, so forth. And that run-amuck can really mess them up.
Yep. Another card that I think is much better than it looks, and a good example of this was when we were drafting with Nate the other night as well. The 4/4 for 4. Some people would look at it and say it's not particular. It's not exciting. It's a 4-mana 4/4. But the drawback to it is that it can't block alone. But that's it. It can't block alone. It can still attack alone. And we were just talking about how in this format it feels like if you're blocking, you're losing.
Yep.
So it's not even really a downside. I'm not playing this 4/4 to block. I'm playing it to attack and kill people. And when you run amok this guy, it's a 7/7, which gets through everything in the format. I don't even think even some of the most busted creatures in the format don't have 8 toughness. I don't know if there's a creature in the format with 8 toughness, actually. Can you think? I can't think of one. I cannot think of any creature.
Isn't that Cannon 8 toughness?
No,
too?
6. He's a 3/6.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, not
the
8.
Black Knight is a 3/7, and that might be the biggest. 7, I think, is the biggest.
The Kraken, right?
Kraken, you're right. The rare, that is an awful rare. You're right, but you got it. He does have 8 toughness.
He's 12 mana.
Yeah, he's 1,000,000 mana.
Oh, my bad. He's 1 extra every snowland.
We tried building around it, and it was still horrible. Even when you're playing it for 6. The fact that the Kraken doesn't freeze
now, there's a card that needs run amok.
That card is... Anyway, we're not going to get in a... That card is not good. Don't draft that. If you're drafting for your vault, I guess you could take it because it's a rare, but please... Do not try and win a draft by playing that card.
Yeah, don't pack one, pick one, and be like, we're going behind this
very,
card.
very bad.
Because that's what we did.
It's very, very bad.
Because you'll play bad snowlands.
We thought initially, and it still probably would not be very good, but we thought initially, at least I thought this, that when you played it, it tapped everything and kept it put them to sleep.
Yo, that would actually be pretty good. If you got
That'd be solid.
If you got a lot of snowlands,
then you could return it back to your hand and keep doing it because of what it does.
And not just that, you could easily kill an
Which
opponent
made sense to me. That seems like reasonable design for how hard this card is to play, especially in Limited. And in Constructed, you still have to build
Maybe they were
really
worried
hard.
about Constructed.
They were probably worried about Constructed, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Holy God,
Why
that
can't
card
they
is not
just...
good.
They should make cards like that they specifically say this is only legal and Limited, not Standard.
Yeah, that'd be
That'd
cool.
be kind of cool
That'd
for
be
the
cool.
limited format in general.
But anyway,
yeah.
the 4/4 is much better than face value, which is cool. Red just has, like you said, the boast. There are just many good commons in red that do a lot of good stuff. You've got the 3-mana 3/2 that can boast and exile the top, so it's basically attack and then draw a card.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we were talking about this earlier in the week too, about how there are a lot of 3/2s in the format. So usually a 3-mana 3/2 is going to trade when it attacks. So if this guy attacks and he gets blocked, and even if you trade it, if you activate it and get a card, you 2-for-1 to your opponent, right? So, you know, there are just a lot of ways it seems like red has to get a lot of value and 2-for-1 people, which is typically a good way to win in limited, obviously. And you close the door on people really fast.
Yep.
Which is cool.
Nope, 100% agree there. Yeah. I just think if you want to get your value out of your drafts and you're like, yeah, I want to make sure I I give myself the best chance of getting 3+ wins, draft red.
Yep.
Along with a favorable, like you said, I think green or black is definitely the way to go. White's fine, but I do think white's the worst out of the three.
That's fair.
I haven't tried red-blue, not a single time. So I can't give it an honest evaluation without actually trying it. Yeah. Maybe I'll try it in one of my drafts, but there just doesn't. I haven't seen any blue cards that I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great to be aggressive.
Yeah, no, it's funny when you were talking about how we initially thought blue was the best color. The more I've played the format, it actually feels like blue is probably the worst color.
Yeah, I can actually see that. In my
opinion, I've really not like the only time I think blue is going to be sweet is if you are able to build around some messed up rare, where these draw spells and things like that
Which
are going to find you. Are going to find you the busted rares. But yeah, no, blue's common. There are some good blue commons. The 3-mana 1/4 flyer with Changeling is really solid.
Yeah, I like that. I'm actually sold on the 4-mana one when you have at least 3 of the same.
Yeah, he's a
creature
3/5, right?
And he gets a scry.
Yep, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
No, that's not bad. I'm trying to think if there's any other blue commons or uncommons offhand that I can think of that I'm like, oh, this card's really nice.
Yeah.
The Pillar's good, obviously.
Yeah.
It's nice, little good. Those little tap-down cards are usually pretty good.
Is Pillar an uncommon? It is,
yes.
Right? Yeah, I'm trying to think of like really strong blue commons. There just aren't many of them.
Commons?
That's the problem with blue, I think, is, like I said, you mentioned the 4-drop. That's fine. It's solid. It's not bad. The Mistwaker is fine. It's, you know, it's good. You know, if we were to grade it, it'd probably get like a B- or something.
Oh, the 5/6 Flash Home Giant.
That card is not good. Please, I mean, if you're playing that, it's...
if you have, like, Blue-Red Giants, it's fine.
Yeah, it's
Blue-Red
acceptable.
Giants actually is pretty good in that deck.
Okay.
Because it's still a big body.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to fit what you're trying to do.
That's fair. I don't have much experience with Blue-Red Giants yet, but...
Blue-Red, because I played against it, it seems more of the bigger Giants than it is like you're going low to the ground, like less aggression early and more like getting your big monsters out, because you got to look, that card's another one that when you have that blue-red Saga, it makes them 2 less. When you cast that, your next giant spell is 2 less. So that a 5/6 for 4 mana is not the worst, even if it comes in tapped.
Sure.
I'll take a 5/6 for 4 mana. Like, it's not the worst rate.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, because it makes your next giant spell.
Yeah. If you have the giant uncommon, then it's sweet. Like, if you're playing a 5/6 for 4.
Like I said, I think in blue-red giants that's fine. But I really don't like that blue card like in a control deck. Like, it's because you can't block. Yeah,
that's
and
the
now
whole
if that
point.
Didn't come in tapped,
then it would be fine. It'd be fine. It'd be solid.
That'd be a solid card.
I'd take it. Yeah,
I think that card would actually be kind of classified as good because it's a good like surprise.
It'd be tricky. You'd have to play around it a lot harder. Yeah. In fact, you don't have to play around it at all right now.
Yeah,
so you would have to actually play.
The only thing you need to play around is when you're doing combat, like blocking math and stuff. To make sure you don't die.
But also a good word of advice to anyone who wants to do good in this limited format is learn the tricks and try and read situations where your opponent has the trick and block accordingly, which a lot of people are not doing around us right now.
One thing people die to me a lot doing is not playing around the +2/+1 white on foretell card.
Yeah.
Oh, and for those that have been living under a rock in the last week, foretell is a new ability where it's like trap cards in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
That's why we made the joke earlier.
Yep.
You can pay 2 mana and you put the card face down, similar to how Morph was.
Yep.
You can't cast it for its foretell cost because it has a special cost for casting it once you foretell it. You can't do it the same turn. You can do it on other turns, but there is the timestamp, whether it's a sorcery, creature, instant, so forth. And you get to cast it for foretell cost. Some cards, like there's a removal spell that says when you foretell this card and cast it from foretell, you get to scry too. There are special cards that do things like that.
Yep.
There's also special cards that says like you draw a card if you cast a card from anywhere but your outside of your hand. Things like that. So you want to keep it because foretell is technically casting from not in your hand.
Yep.
And there's a way like most of the time you're spending the same amount of mana that if you're gonna cast it normally, but you get to break it up over turn. So actually you get to cast your 4-drop, like to make 2/2/1s, for example. You're still paying 4 mana, but you get to do it the turn early. So you go turn 2, foretell it, turn 3, you get to make 2/2/1s instead of waiting until turn 4 to make your 2/2/1s.
Yep.
So in that aspect, you're getting a turn early, which that actually is worth the mana, in my opinion. Because most likely you're probably going to be wasting that and not being the most efficient by doing that on turn 3.
Yep.
But if that's what you want to do, it's not the worst. Like being able to get a swing in with 2/2/1s might be worth that 1 mana wasted.
Yep.
And it all comes based on situational outcomes. But let's talk a little bit about like the grindy matchups, because there is grindy matchups in this format. It happens. Even with the red decks, it gets grindy.
Yep.
One card that I think that we both can agree on that's really good if you're running in the grindy matches is Dogged Pursuit.
Dogged Pursuit is really, really solid. We tried Dogged Pursuit early on in just when we started playing the format because of how good what was the Ill-Gotten Inheritance was back in that format. And for those that don't remember, Ill-Gotten Inheritance...
Well, I say that was Allegiance.
I believe you're correct. But for those that don't remember, Ill-Gotten Inheritance was a 4-mana enchantment, and at the beginning of your upkeep, you gained a life and your opponent lost a life, and then you could pay 6 mana and sacrifice it to deal 4 to that. Or was it 4 mana?
Yeah,
I thought it was 6.
No, 4 damage is what I'm saying.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, it was 6 mana, sacrifice it, gain 4 life, deal 4 damage.
Yep.
This card, Dogged Pursuit, is very, very, very similar. There is really one thing that is better about it, and that is the turn that you play it, you get the damage immediately. It triggers on end step rather than upkeep, but then you can't sacrifice it for 6 mana. But the card is really solid in these aggro decks because, obviously, when you're the aggressor, your opponent needs to sit back and try and block and not pressure you. And if your opponent is unable to pressure you, Dogged Pursuit is a huge problem. Because not only are you gaining life and making it harder to kill you than it already was, you're also slowly draining them and forcing them to have to try and kill you, which is going to cause them to make attacks that will likely lead to them taking more damage from your combat. And the card's just been really, really impressive. I had one game, too, where my opponent and I both flooded, and I think it was a 32-point swing. It dealt them 16 and gained me 16 and killed them in the end.
No, the card's really good. The main reason for the design difference is when Ill-Gotten Inheritance had what is that ability like if your opponent took damage? Spectacle.
Yeah, Spectacle.
Yeah, that was the main like mechanic in that format. So that's why they did the upkeep for that one.
Yep.
That's the only reason I knew what set it was from because I use that in Spectacle forms all the time.
Oh yeah, all the time.
But no, the card is really good. The other card that's really good in grinding matchups is 3/7. It's a 6-mana 3/7 that also has 1 black and a generic activated tap ability. Exile a creature card from your graveyard. Bolt your opponent.
Yep.
Card's just really good in grinding matchups.
Very solid.
Let's think, is there any other grindy cards that I can really think of? That 3/6 cat, Vigilance Cat can definitely
I've been pretty impressed with that card.
It has 4 toad for 4 mana, so you can get it in a turn early. couple turns early, let's say the least. No, the card's good. Another card that I actually found that's pretty good if you want to go grindy is the 2 mana 0/6 Ox.
Yep.
The card's really good at blocking.
Yep. I've had a few decks play that against me, and funny enough too, I haven't seen anyone do this yet, but the Ox is actually very, very good with the 2 mana vehicle that is crew 6 and is a 6/3. And whenever you attack, you gain 3 life and get 3 white mana, and it doesn't empty between phases or something.
Mm-hmm.
But the Ox can crew with toughness, so the Ox is one of the only cards in the format that actually crews that vehicle very efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen anyone do that yet. I don't really think it's much of a thing, but that's something the Ox can do, which is kind of cool. I think too. If you do go into these really aggressive decks, one really important uncommon that I've had 2 of in 2 of my drafts is the Shapeshifter Artifact guy that when he enters, you name a type, and every time a creature that type enters, you get counters. There are tons of ways to abuse that guy. There are many, many just random tribes in this format. One I found is Berserkers. It just so happens that almost every red creature is a Berserker. Many, many red creatures that we've mentioned so far, almost all of them, are creature-type Berserker. So playing him in these aggro decks and naming Berserker is really solid.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously he also works with other types too. If you're randomly playing Giants, you can name Giant. If you're playing Elf, you play him on turn 3 and then play the 4-drop Elf 3/2 that makes a 1/1. 3 drops now a 4/4, and that's another reason he's so good in Berserkers is because with that Foretell 2/2/1s card, he's already a 4/4. Really, really have been very, very impressed with that card, and I think he's pretty undervalued because I've gotten him at pick 5 or 6 a few times. So that's a really nice card if you're looking to go into the archetype.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I said, you can win the grinding matchups, you can win the aggressive matchups.
Yep.
You just got to make sure you build your deck correctly to be able to do both.
Yep.
Like, don't try to mix the two.
Yep.
Big mistake that people make in Limited is trying to be aggressive and grindy. Like, oh, I'm going to be super aggressive, but I'm also going to have this 7-drop in my deck.
Yeah, you can't do that. I think I've topped out at 5 drops in all these decks. I guess one time I play. Obviously, you play the 6-drop that has Foretell and then pumps the team.
Yeah, that was the only one.
But he's kind of a 5-drop. I mean,
yeah,
once you play him, he's a 5. If you foretold him, he's a 5-drop.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I've had decks with like 3 or 4 5-drops, and those decks I always play 17 lands, and then I've had a few decks with like 1 5-drop, and in those decks, oftentimes I'll go 16, especially if I have a lot of Foretell.
Yeah, I play like 16 in all my red decks.
Yeah.
Like I've been playing 16 in all of them.
I've played 16 when I don't have to play a bunch of 5s. If I have to play like 3 to 4 5-drops, I'm going to play the 17th land to just make sure I hit those 5s.
Yeah, because the worst way to lose in Magic is not
being able to cast your cards. Yeah, I'd rather flood and just take it than fucking not be able to play my cards.
Now we're going to talk about the best rares and mythics.
Yep.
In the set.
Yep.
For limited purposes.
Yep.
There's one I think we both agree on.
Yep.
It's the Serpent.
Serpent is super good. There are a few ways it can be beat, but it's very, very hard.
But one that's probably not a good card to play, but if you're really worried about ever losing the Serpent, like if you just have the worst luck where you play Serpent all the time and you're like, I'm not having fun unless I have an answer to this, you can play that Raven form card for blue.
Good.
It exiles a creature and it makes a 1/1.
I guess there are a few cards that can deal with it. If we're going on the Raven form one, the double white removal spell can deal with it. If you have Poison the Cup in your hand, you can kill that card on upkeep. And if you have like a random sweeper rare like Doomscar, you can beat that card. But other than that, it is really, really hard to beat that card.
How's Doomscar gonna beat it?
Doomscar, the sweeper, right?
Yeah, no, but how's that beat it? Because they just sack a serpent to give it indestructible.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that doesn't beat it.
Yeah.
Never mind. Yep.
You have to have the removal out your hand to kill it before they get.
Yeah,
because it's not sack a creature, sack a snake or token.
Yeah, it's got to be a serpent. Yep.
But yeah, Doomscar's not doing it.
Yep,
I can promise you that.
Yep, you're right. Yeah, that card's incredible. Very, very, very hard to beat. Yeah, just very, very hard to beat. Yep. And you can't like beat it with like a rest because they just keep getting the tokens, which is obviously just so hard to beat. For those that remember, I think it was Tender Shoot Dryad in that format was, you know, the 5 mana. I think it was a 1/1, and then every upkeep gave a 1/1, and then once you hit the City's Blessing, all your plants got +2/+2.
Oh yeah, I remember that card. That card was awesome.
That card was nuts. It's basically just a better version of that card.
I've had that in the Arena Cube.
Yep.
I've done well when I've had that.
Tender Shoot Dryad was really, really insane.
And this one's a 6-drop.
7.
It's a 7-drop 6/6.
Yeah, much harder to cast.
No, but
much harder to cast, but
not by
much more powerful.
Yeah, I'll take the extra mana for what that produces.
Me too. For sure.
Hell, you got like cards like, I know it's not as good, but remember how good Biogenic is, and that one you had to put mana into.
You had to put mana into.
This one, you just get them.
Yeah, you just get them, and you get them every
and then,
upkeep.
What's the other one that is it like you tap a guy and like...
Oh, yeah, you can also sack a serpent to...
Tap a permanent or
detain something, basically. It loses all its abilities, it loses its... Yeah. So the card's just nuts.
Yeah.
It might be the best mythic in the whole set. It probably is. There might be arguments for other ones. But
so I lost this card 3 times today.
Okay.
It's this damn red card that makes dragons when it boasts.
Oh, okay. I haven't played against that yet.
Yeah, you pay like 4 or 5 mana for boast, and it makes a 5/5 dragon.
Wow.
It has first strike.
Is it how much? Is it like a 2 mana 2/1 first strike?
It's either a 2 or 3 drop.
Okay.
It is a 2-power first striker, but
2-power first strike.
Bro, you make 1 5/5 dragon, that might close the game out alone.
Definitely.
And if you can't kill that when it bolts the first time, it's over.
Yeah, I've been pretty lucky with most of my red-black decks so far. I've had like 4 to 5 pieces of removal in almost all of them. So, fortunately, how much toughness does that card have? Is it like
I don't remember offhand. It's either 2/2 or 2/1, I think.
Okay, so it does die to Frostbite either way, which is good.
Yeah.
Another card you should take very, very highly in this format.
Yeah, I take it for the rate of 2 damage.
Oh yeah, I first picked that card happily. Like, it's really good in this format. It kills most 3-drops, so you're up 2 mana on that exchange.
Another good card to interact with opposing Runamucks.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's if you want to be successful in this format, you're learning how to not let your opponent blow you out with the tricks is like a big deal. If your opponent's attacking into your 3/3 with a 2/2, just don't block in a lot of spots. Like, just wait and do not block, and wait till you have a way to interact in some way.
Yep.
Because that's just if they don't get to blow you out, Run Amok gets a lot worse when you make it not kill your creatures. So I think in the future we'll start to see people blocking better and learning how to play around it better. But right now, the tricks are just totally disgusting and blowing people out all over the place.
Another card that I want to just talk about because I see people do that too often is Doomscar, right?
Yeah.
Do not scoop when you get Doomscarred initially. I have been Doomscarred twice in the same game earlier and still won.
Yeah.
I think people scoop to board wipes and limited way too much. Now, if they blood in the snow and bring something back and you have no sources in hand, and then you draw your card and you look at their 4/4 something just about the clock, I can see that being reasonable. Blood in the snow is quite good and quite oppressing. Let's be real. Like,
card's really
that
good.
Hurts. Yeah. I think that is a really good. Like, I think it is hard to beat a successful Blood in the Snow. Another card that I think is really good. That's rare mythic. Is the little make X Angels Foretold card. I don't know the name of it offhand.
Yeah, couldn't tell you the name of it at the moment either. But yeah, it's
a mythic. It's a two generic, 2 white. It lets you make a 4/4 angel. It also has foretold, and foretold is a white double X spell, and you make the double X's. It will equal up to how many 4/4 angels with vigilance that you get to make.
Yep.
The vigilance is nice.
So stupid, dude.
I've won with that card. I play that card. The next turn, I do the +2/+1 and win.
Yep.
I've done that so many times. So that's definitely good. And have you ever run amok an angel? Oh, buddy, you're talking about a good old time.
Yeah, 7/7 flying, trample, vigilance.
That's a really good card if you get that in the chariot somehow together.
Yeah. We've talked about that.
You make the angels, use the angel to crew up the fucking chariot. Chariot makes a copy of the angel.
Yeah. I was telling you I thought that would be good and constructed, and it turns out people are out there copying Kiora Best the Sea God tokens, which definitely one-ups the angels. I love it. It's so disgusting.
Yeah, I don't think that's a real deck though, but
yeah.
Yeah. That's more of a meme deck than anything. But we're not here to talk about constructed. But the chariot, I think it's a solid one. I wouldn't go all in on that card by any means. But if you're already in green or something, I'm perfectly okay with it.
Yep.
I would definitely take it in the first pick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would not try to force being green if it's not open just for that card.
Yeah, no, definitely
It's not that kind of bomb. It's a very medium bomb, but it's still a good bomb.
Yeah.
But it's not like a show closer.
Yep.
It's super easy to interact with, so I definitely don't think you are instantly a lock to win a draft because you got chariot pick one.
No.
Because that shit can go very poorly very quick.
Yep.
And would you say the Berserker deck was your best deck so far?
Let's see. So, yeah, I've had 2 Berserker decks. I guess really even so one of the Berserker decks I had the rare saga that lets you draw a card and lose a life for every Berserker that attacks. And I was generally getting 2 to 3 cards off that saga. So that was sweet. I don't know if that one was better than my second one. My second one was, again, red-black Berserkers. Did not have that rare. It had no rares, in fact. But it had 2 Poison the Cups, which, in my opinion, is definitely, debatably, the best uncommon. Very insane card. I had 2 of those. And then I also had 2 of another card that I would consider to possibly be the best uncommon, which is the Flametongue Kavu Giant. I had 2 of those as well. And for those that don't know, this card is a 4-mana 4/2. When it enters, you deal damage to any target equal to the greatest number of creatures that share a type that you control. It itself is a giant wizard. But in, these all one-type creature decks, Berserkers, it was very common that I would have 3 to 4 Berserkers in play, and I would play this card, and I would either, Flame Slash a creature or War Leader's Helix my opponent. Or Flame Rift is a better comparison. But, just absurdly good card. Just tons of value. Honestly, that deck was probably better because I think that combination of uncommons was more powerful even than having the rare that was on theme. And then neither of those decks 7-0'd. Both them 7-1. My 7-0 was red-white. And I don't even necessarily think that was my best deck. It was a good deck, and it ended up obviously going 7-0. It was just another solid red deck. But my best one was probably the second one. And then my third deck that I went 7-2 with, I pick one, the neg 3 Crippling Fear. That was my first pick. And then for the rest of the draft, I was just trying to figure out what creature type was going to make the most sense to build around, because Crippling Fear gives neg 3 to all creature types that you don't name. So you name a type and then it doesn't. So it's basically a one-sided wrath if you can set it up well. And I ended up getting a good amount of elves. Really, the deck was just a solid green-black mid-range deck. It had a couple of the wolf that has foretell that when it enters you draw a card. I also had the combat trick that gives a creature +2/+0, and then if it would die, return it. So I was blocking stuff with the wolf and then doing that, and then their guy would die. Mine would come back. I'd draw a card, so I was up a very good amount of value. Yeah, it was. But my best deck was probably the second red-black Berserker deck with just a ton of good uncommons. It also, I think, had 2 of the foretell red spell that deals 4 damage, which is one of the best commons in the set. So just a lot of great cards.
Yep. I'm going to go through the one I easily would say was just because everything lined up well, and it was the Giants one that I brewed up.
Yeah.
Not brewed up, but drafted. So, start from the 2 drops. 2 drops, I had an Immersturm Raider.
Okay.
That's the 2/1 Berserker that discard a card, draw a card.
Yep, okay.
I had 1 Run Amok. I had a Guardian Glade Walker. That's the 2-drop changeling that enters the battlefield, put a counter on a target creature. 1 Mass Vandal. That's the 1/3. You can exile a creature card from your graveyard and destroy an artifact or enchantment. It also has changeling.
Yep.
I had a Arnie Slays the Troll. That's the 2-mana green-red saga. Target creature fights a creature you don't control. Second chapter is add a red mana. Put 2/+1 counters on up to 1 target creature you control. And then the third chapter is gain life equal to the greatest power among creatures you control. My 3 dots were interesting because I had a Breakneck Berserker, a Demon Bolt.
Yep.
Sevelia the Ice Shaper. The Sevelia is pretty sweet. That's the 3-drop. That's a 1 green-red troll. 2/4. It's a legendary snow creature, Troll Warrior. It has tap it, make an artifact that taps for any color that doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
It also has 6 in the green-red that tap it. Look at the top 4 cards. You can cast one of those cards without paying its mana costs. I had 2 Shackles of Treachery. Equipments are so heavy in this format, man.
Yeah, I've played the 1 mana red equipment in 3. I think I've played it in every red deck. I've played 1 of that in every single one of my decks.
Mm-hmm. No, that card's solid.
Very solid, yeah.
And I like that. I like this card really because people love doing that on the black equipment that gives your creatures menace and +2/+2.
I had 2 of those in the green-black deck.
Yep.
Very good value card. Just really makes medium creatures great and helps you kill people.
And that's why I decided to start playing this Act of Treason, because when you deal combat damage with that creature that's equipped, it destroys that equipment.
That's nice.
And then my 4 drops were where it would start getting interesting. I had a Masswood Nexus. That's the 4-drop artifact that all your creatures are every creature type. And also has 3 tap, create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token with Changeling.
Yeah.
Which is huge. I had a Struggle for Skemfar. That's the 4-drop, 4-toad on fight spell that gives a +1 counter.
Yep.
3 Craven Hoax, the one you were mentioning earlier, the 4-mana 4/4.
Yep.
I had 2 Basalt Ravengers, the ones that ping a target based on the number of creatures of a type you control. I had 3 Squash. I had 1 Quakebringer. This is 3 and 2 red. Giant Berserker, 5/4. Opponents can't gain life. Beginning upkeep. If this is in play or if it's in your graveyard and you control a giant, it shocks them. Yep. And it also has 4 Toad, where 4 mana is the 4 Toad cost. I also, for a big end, I had a Ravenous Linsworm, which is 4 and 2 green, gain 4 life, 6/6. And then I had a Cinderheart Giant, which 5/2 red. Giant Berserker with Trample. When it dies, it deals 7 damage to a creature and opponent controls at random.
Yeah.
Like, this deck was just solid. Like, I was just removing stuff. Like, it was just so hard for him. One of the matchups, they went and tried to do a block, and I just killed 2 of their creatures. Like, when they tried to block my 7/6, dude. Killed 2 of their creatures and still got a lot of damage through. Like,
yep.
Yeah, like I said, 1 loss I had because I could never find the 3rd land, and then I played so poorly in the 2nd loss I had that I should have never been rewarded the win anyway.
Okay.
But honestly, that should have been on the 7-1 deck.
Yep.
Honestly, it could be argued that it should be 7-0 because I probably would have, based on my hand, I was going to curve around. They probably, based on what my Tomoan did as well, they weren't doing a lot, but they did just enough to be able to get me because I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, if you can't cast spells, you can't win games of Magic.
Yep, for sure.
But like I said, that's the name of the game. So, overall, what would you rate this format?
Well, I mean, I'd give it an A, but I would have given probably the last like 7 format. All year, I've really enjoyed limited. That's been one thing I haven't hated about COVID is all the limited sets that we've gotten to play on Arena have been really good. You know, I've enjoyed all of them. I would definitely give this an A, and you know, I mean, some of it is definitely because, like I said, I'm really really hot right now in limited, and winning definitely makes it more fun. I think I'm up like 5,000 gems or something on this limited format right now, which is really really sweet.
That does help.
Yeah, but no, I mean it's fun. I typically like to play aggressive decks, so it fits. I don't feel like aggro is like busted by any means. I do think the other things are plausible to do, but aggro does feel good. It feels right now open. Like I said, it's early in the format. People are not blocking well. I think as it goes further, people are going to start to read situations a little better. There was one game this week I had where my opponent had a card on Foretell and kept not playing it, and they were in a green deck. And so I knew it was the +4/+4 spell. It was the only thing that made sense, which is another thing, kind of nice thing about Foretell is you can kind of read what cards are if you know the format well. Because he just kept doing nothing with it. And so because I knew he had that, there was a turn where I could have made an attack that looked good, but if he had the +4/+4 spell, it was actually a really bad attack. So I waited one turn because if I waited, I was going to have it exactly lethal by going wide. Whereas I still would have had lethal going wide if I would have traded with his guy, but I wasn't going to trade with his guy, and I assumed that was going to be the case. So I just waited a turn and then made the wide attack and got him for exactly lethal. But had I not played around the pump spell, I probably would have lost the match. So, yeah, learning how to play around these tricks is going to be a really important key to being successful in the format.
Yup, and I will agree. I'm giving this a. I think the last poor limited format we had was a Mortar Spark. So
yeah,
that is very consistent, good results. Like design team, people can give them crap, but at least they're making limited good, and that's all I care about.
And at the end of the day, that's like, isn't that? I know that's like a big part of their job, right?
Their big part of their job is standard and limited.
Standard and limited. So they've been doing excellent with limited.
They've been drunk when they did the standard part.
Yep.
Very drunk. But limited, they've been knocking it out of the park. So, 50-50 is good to me. And I actually give it more than 50-50 because I'm glad you're making limited good.
Yeah.
I'm a little biased. I think limited is one of the best formats
you
can
play.
play.
I agree. It's limited's sweet because it's like even if you draft, even if you're forcing red every time, your deck is always going to be different, and you're going to get a little bit of a different experience. But the reality of it is, you're not going to force red every time. There are going to be other decks that you're going to end up in. Okay, maybe.
Aren't you foolish?
But the reality of it is, you are going to play other stuff. It's going to be different. It's going to change. There's variation to it, whereas in constructed, there's less variation, and things get more stale.
And to be fair, if I was actually prepping for a real limited tournament,
you would not force red every time. You would explore other things.
Yes, I would try to make sure I'm drafting everything. I'm already doing. I'm not keep taking rares just to have them.
Yep.
Like I could have had every pathway by now.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm taking this. I might take one pathway in pack 3.
I messaged you how I was really sad that I had to pass a red-black pathway because I knew I was going to need to craft it. I've since crafted it, but I was sad that I couldn't draft it because I had to take the second Flame Tongue Kavu giant from my deck. I'm not passing that card. The card's unreal. It'd be so stupid to draft a rare over that card, which is very likely, gonna take my deck over the top and probably just get me to 7 wins, which will get me a pack anyway, right? So.
Exactly. But yeah, like I said, we're both gonna give this an A.
Yep.
I'm excited to play more.
Yep.
Who knows? I might draft after you'll bet just because I love the format.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to touching this more. I'm also looking forward to next week. We're gonna be back for some more talking Swish. We're gonna try to do some more road stories. We don't have a guest. I don't want to officially announce a guest until I do some contacts, but we will have a guest on next week, and we'll be doing a nice little sit-down interview, getting to interview this guest, and we're also gonna have that guest tell us some road stories. So
cool.
We're gonna have a good time next week.
Yep. Sounds good.
just to wrap things up, this has been Larry, along with Steven over to my left, and we are out of time. We will catch you all next
See you
week.
next time.
Hey guys, thanks for watching another video brought to you by Swish Gaming and Swish Videos. Go ahead and give us a follow over on Twitter at SwishMTG. Also look for us on Facebook under Swish Gaming, as we'll have more material, information about some deck lists and so forth, all available on there. Free of charge, no Patreon required. Also, if you're listening to this on YouTube, check out these related videos that we have right here. We have various things such as local matchups from draft to constructed on the arena format and the occasional Magic the Gathering online. But until next time, we will catch you later.